Well, it's bloody windy today. The old antenna's having a bit of a fly about. So yeah, everything's getting a bit blown about. It's really windy. I don't know how fast the wind is, but it's windy. But anyway, I want to talk about idling, engine idling. There's a lot of speculation about engine idling. Some people just don't have a clue. Now, there's no harm in idling an engine. You know what I mean? You can let it idle for as long as you want. Some people say that it does injectors. If you don't have injectors, you ain't got to worry about that, have you? Some people say it makes the piston rings go saggy. Some people say it makes the bores go shining and the piston shiny. Some people say the engine overheats. Some people say it's too much stress on the engine. Some people say it gets coked up with unburnt fuel. The bores can get shiny if the idling is prolonged. You know what I mean? If you're doing like day in, day out, just constant idling, then you will run risks of shiny bores and shit like that. And the rings can get soft and saggy and they won't do their job properly. But that's only if you do prolonged idling, like for day in, day out for a long period of time. If you just start your engine up to let it warm up for half an hour every day, there ain't going to be no problems. Or if you're sitting in traffic for an hour and let it idle, there ain't going to be no problems. Now you may suffer from a bit of build up of fuel, especially on older vehicles. If you've got an older engine, it's diesel, petrol, whatever, more so the diesel, you will get a bit of build up of soot on the top of the pistons and around the inside the exhaust. But when you put a load back on the engine, when you drive off, it will burn off anyway, so that doesn't matter about that. It's perfectly fine. Some people in the past have even tried to flog it off to me that physical damage has occurred from excessive idling. No physical damage will be occurred from excessive idling. That is, well, it just doesn't happen. It's as simple as that. So, well, there may be some small amounts of internal damage from excessive engine idling. It will not happen on the outside, and nothing can be damaged on the outside of the engine from excessive idling. Now, idling is a good way to warm up your engine before you're going to go for a drive or do anything. And it's also a good way to cool down your engine after you've been driving under a lot of load or anything like that. If you got a two-stroke, then you're going to get a build up of oil, because remember, you've got oil in the petrol, you see, so when you let it idle, it's not burning that oil sufficiently, because it's burning at a lower temperature, lower speed. It's just going to get built up in the piston and around in the exhaust. But then again, as soon as you drive off, as soon as you rev it or drive off, you're going to get a lot of smoke and it's all going to burn off. So there's no problems there whatsoever. An engine is not under a lot of stress when it's idling. That's a load of rubbish. One guy said that to me before, because I used to leave my car idling when I used to go out and about. I used to leave my car idling all the time. And he said to me, you don't leave it idling because the engine's under too much stress when it's idling. I said, what the hell are you talking about, you fool? He said, well, when it's idling, the engine's trying to keep itself running, so it's under much more stress than what it is when you're driving. Well, obviously not, because when an engine is idling, it's relaxed, you know what I mean? It's just ticking over at a slow pace, just ticking over. When you're at full revs, or when you're driving under a heavy load where you got your foot down, there's a lot more stress within that engine, obviously, because it's, you know what I mean, it's got a lot more load on it then. So there's no stress, there's no more stress when an engine is under idle speed than what it is when it's driving. and as far as I can understand, the injectors are perfectly fine at an idle speed. There's no difference from idling to driving. In fact, they're probably doing less work when they're idling, them old injectors. If you've got injectors, if you've got a diesel or an injected petrol, an engine won't overheat when it's idling either, unless you've got a bad cooling system, or if you've got, well, to be honest, if you don't have a fan, if you've got a water-cooled system and it's idling in one place and there's no breeze coming into the radiator and you don't have a fan, then it's gonna get hot and you'll overheat then, or at least you'll get hot enough. You'll get hotter than what usual is anyway. Or if you've got an air-cooled engine and it's sitting there in no breeze is going round the fins on the head, then it's going to get hot and it's got a chance of overheating. But on every single car that I've ever seen that is set up correctly, it's got a fan on the radiator, so that is there for a reason. So when it's doing a lot of idling, if you're sitting in traffic, the fan should kick in. If it's an electric fan, it'll kick in and it'll keep the airflow going around your radiator so you can idle all day long and you won't overheat. And if you've got a viscous fan with a belt on it, that kicks in anyway. Like on my Land Rover, that's on all the time. So you can idle all day long and it'll keep a constant breeze coming through the radiator so it won't overheat. So unless you've got a problem somewhere and your electric fan's not working or your viscous fan's not working, or you don't have a fan anyway, then you're going to get a bit hot and then the engine is, idling isn't good then. You need a breeze coming through, that's what you need. So to sum it up, idling in general, letting your engine idle, there's no real problems. You can just do that, it doesn't have any difference. If you let it idle a long period of time, day in, day out, just idling, then you're going to get some issues. But for most people have said to me, or I've seen most people say, is when either I or someone else starts their car up, let it warm up for half an hour every day. Like what I do, I let it warm up for half an hour every day. And then we well, you don't want to let it idle for too long because you do some damage. Well, it's warming up, man. If I was to start it up and drive off straight away, that's even worse. So there's no problems. Just don't let it idle for like a whole day. So that's that covered. I'm glad I got that off my chest, man.